Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. Tell you what, go ahead and get a Bible and go to the 52nd Psalm. Let's jump in there. And got a good bit to cover in my limited time this morning, particularly for this Psalm, a little bit of introduction we need to cover. All of us, Psalm 52, David has written for the purpose of dealing with the fact that all of us have seen it. We see it, it seems like too often, when the wicked, when the evil prevail over the righteous. As you can tell, if you look at the heading here, it's a Psalm of David. When Doeg the Edomite came and told Saul and said unto him, David is come to the house of Ahimelech. So the psalm is based on the actions of one of Saul's servants by the name of Doeg. And at this point, David was, this psalm was written, again, and the psalms are not in chronological order. So don't get confused. But at this point, David had not become king yet. Saul was still king, and David was still on the run because of Saul's jealousy. And David had come to the city of Nob, where the tabernacle was. And he had went to Ahimelech, who it mentions here in the superscription, who was the high priest, and asked for food for him and his men. And Ahimelech did not know. He thought that David was on some kind of mission for Saul, and so he gave David the showbread from inside the tabernacle. And so the priest then also gave David the sword that had been taken from Goliath when David killed Goliath, and evidently had been kept there in the tabernacle. Well, Doeg the Edomite, that's again mentioned here, evidently was somewhere nearby. Somehow he saw or found out that the priest, that Ahimelech, had given David the food and the sword. The Edomites that it talks about here, they were the descendants of Esau, and they hated the descendants of Jacob, or the Jews. But somehow Doeg he was in good graces with Saul, and had won him over. And Doeg had actually been appointed as the head, I guess, the main shepherd over Saul's flocks. Well, when Doeg saw what happened with David getting the food from the priest, he went and told Saul what had happened. And again, Saul, out of his jealousy, out of his pride, he ordered that all the priests at Nob be killed. And so the soldiers go back to Nob to kill, or they refuse to. When I get I'll get it out of my mouth in a minute. The soldiers have better sense than Saul. They refuse to kill the priest, and so then Doeg does it himself. He steps in and kills the priest when the soldiers refuse, trying to get in good with King Saul. And so there's the background for this psalm. And so David is writing this psalm to as responding to, answering the wickedness, the evil actions of Doeg for killing the 85 priest. This is called a psalm of maskil, which means it is a psalm of instruction. You'll see that phrase come up in several places, and it's going to teach us about justice and how, again, how the wicked may succeed for a while with their evil actions, but ultimately they will be judged and punished, and the righteous will prevail. And so when this psalm deals then with that topic. So that's the background. Let me jump in here and move quickly into the text. Beginning in verse 1, it says, "Why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of God endureth continually. The tongue deviseth mischiefs like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. Selah. Thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. God shall likewise destroy thee forever. He shall take thee away and pluck thee out of thy dwelling place and root thee out of the land of the living. Selah." And so David begins here by speaking to the mighty man, the rich is who he's talking about, the powerful, that use their money and their power to take advantage of and to abuse others. And he uses the word here again, mighty man, which the Hebrew word is actually, the word that's used means a warrior, a brave warrior. And so David kind of sarcastically uses this phrase against Doeg for being so brave as to execute the defenseless, weaponless priest. And there his attack on them. And so he's again talking about he's talking about their attack on them. And so he gives us several descriptions then of the wicked man. First of all, in verse 1, he says, "Why do you boast?" And so the wicked man brags about and when it's talking about, it's not just bragging, but notice what it says, "Boastest thou thyself in mischief." They brag about the evil that he does, the wicked things that he does. He goes on and says, "The goodness of God endureth continually." And so he does those things, bragging about the evil, not realizing that God is always at work, that God's goodness is always there, that as he brags about his evil deeds, that God is watching, and that while in his mind he thinks he's done something wonderful, God is looking at him through his goodness, it says, and measuring him that way. His tongue, it talks about in verse 2 that he's this man that his biggest weapon is not his gun or his sword, but it's his tongue, that he uses his tongue. And Doeg had certainly used his tongue to attack the priest and to try to bring Saul against the priest, simply for the reason of gaining favor with Saul. What Doeg doesn't tell is the whole story, that Ahimelech didn't do it didn't give David food and the sword against Saul. He actually did it thinking he was helping Saul, but he doesn't tell him that part of the story. And so he uses his tongue for mischief, and it works deceitfully. He says, "You love evil more than good." Now that just sums up most of our society anymore. You love devouring words, thou deceitful tongue. Not only do they like the evil, but their words, they intentionally say things, gossips, lies, or in Doeg's case, kind of a half lie or half truth, depends on how. A half truth is a half lie, I guess, and that so they use they use the words. They're devouring words, words that destroy and hurt other people. But David finishes this section by saying God will destroy you, as they may think that they're getting away with something. They may think they're victorious, but eventually they will stand before God and give an account. He will destroy you. He will take you away, pluck you out of your dwelling place, and root thee out of the land of the living. And so he gives a graphic picture. When I think of that, I think about if you've ever been out in the field, hoeing in the garden, and you hoe up the dandelions, you drag them out of the root by the roots. Well, he says God's going to do that to the evil man. Going to drag him out of the land of the living by the roots. And so David writes an opening warning description here of the evil man as he describes him in his actions and his words. And what as I read these verses, I think one of the things that we need to do with these verses is a little self-examination. All of us, if we're honest, we could say that at times our tongues devise mischief, they work deceitfully. We use our words, our tongues to hurt others. We sometimes enjoy evil more than good. We sometimes enjoy when others suffer. We use our tongues to hurt others, and or like Doeg, we report things, we tell things that while they may be partially true, they don't even need to be said, or we don't tell the whole truth. And so this psalm, while we have a specific case with Doeg, I think when we look at this, we can be critical. A lot of ways that we look at this that we need to do a little self-examination. Again, remind what the New Testament tells us. James warns us about the power of the tongue. That even though he says it's just a little tiny part of the body, he says it is a powerful weapon that can cause a great deal of damage to others, and further, it goes against everything that we are called to be as believers, building up and helping others, and not only that, it's not enough that we don't tear down others, but as believers, our job is not only to not tear down others, but to help those who have been torn down, who have been hurt. And so this, I think these 5 verses certainly give us some room for inspection, some room for examination of our own heart to see where we stand and before God, and the use of our words and the use of our tongues and what we say and do to others. And so hope you'll give that a little thought today. We live in a brutal world sometimes, and people can be extremely harsh and mean with their words, sarcastic, critical, bitter, mean. And as believers, we need to be careful that our words lift up and edify and build up those around us. All right, hope that gives you a little time to think and helps you to grow in your walk with the Lord today. All right, have a great day, and we'll see you back here next time.